Hi, it's Elaine with MCPS Technology. One of the things that makes Google Classroom so amazing is the ease with which a teacher can make and deploy assignments. So today we're going to walk through that process. Now, it's not a difficult process, but there are quite a few pieces and parts. So it might help if you pause the video and then practice the piece and then come back. It's certainly nothing to stress about, and once you learn to do this, you'll wonder why you ever stressed about it in the first place. So I'm in my practice class, and as we get geared up to make an assignment, I'd just like to share a couple of pieces of advice with you. If you are making an assignment where there will be some kind of document that goes with it, then it's my best advice to go ahead and build that document ahead of time, preferably in Google Drive, because Classroom is set up to work seamlessly with Drive, so it just makes sense to have that document made ahead of time. So once you've done that and you're ready to start building, the first place you go when you're ready to make an assignment is back to the plus sign in the stream. So remember, we went there before to post an announcement. This time we're going to skip right over announcement and choose create assignment. And you'll notice a small box will come up in the middle of your screen, and this is where all the information goes as you're building. So first it's asking for a title. I'm going to call this 002 practice assignment 2. Now this is just a thing with me, but I have learned over time and from making lots of mistakes, so you may want to heed this advice, is to number your assignments. It just makes it easier for you as a teacher. If you number them starting with 001, 002, etc., it will line them up in order within the folder that's in your drive. It also makes it easier to make sure that you're deploying the right assignment at the right time. Below the title, you'll see a place for you to type your instructions. But before we type instructions, let's go up to the top and check out these two places. So as when we posted announcements, I pointed this out to you, but I want to point it out once more. When you're making an assignment, you can actually deploy that to more than one class. So let's say I have 3 sections of English 2. I can deploy this assignment to all 3 of those just by checking in these boxes. I can also deploy an assignment only to certain students. This only works for me if I'm just deploying to one class. But within that one class, I can choose the students I want this to go to, or I can choose all students by default. Right now, I only have one student, so that's why it's only showing this one. But this could be really helpful if I were doing group work, or I could use it also for differentiation if I had some students who needed some extra practice, or they needed to move ahead, or that sort of thing. So that's really convenient. Coming down to the instructions, normally I would type really detailed instructions. Right now I'm just putting some nonsense words. Also here you want to choose a due date. If you click it and then click it again, you'll notice that a calendar comes up, so I'm just going to choose a random date. You can also choose a time if you like, but that is optional. And I can also apply a topic to this assignment if I want to. If I'm using units or something like that, that could be helpful. If I do give it a topic, it will appear over here on the topics list once I make that. You're familiar with these 4 icons here because we've used them before, but let's just go over them quickly again. So as I'm building this assignment, if I would like to attach a YouTube video, as you've noticed, I do that a lot with your assignments, I can do it here. Any kind of web link that I want my students to go to, I can attach here. This first link, the paperclip, will allow me to retrieve any kind of document that already lives on my computer. And that works great when you have things like PDFs and things that you just want your students to view. But if you want your students to be able to interact with a document, then it's really important that you build that in your Drive. So let's say I've created, much like our journal assignment that we recently did, I've created a document that I want my students to type in. And so once I've created it, I can go from here to my Drive and retrieve that document. Notice when I click here, it brings me into my own Drive and it brings me into my recent folder. But I could click on any of these and find it no matter where it is. So I'm just going to choose this document that I've made, and I'm going to add that to my assignment. Notice with me, by default, my students can view that file. But here's the exciting part. If I want them to be able to do something with that file, I can click this down arrow and I have two other choices. Students can edit the file, and in that case, we would all be working in the same file. So if I wanted students to be all working in the same document, sort of the way we did when we did our introduction in the Google Slides, or if I wanted them all working in one doc, that would be the place to do it. Most exciting, I can click here and I can make a copy of this document for every student. And what that means is that when a student types on his document, it's his document. And when he goes to turn it in, I, the teacher, will receive a different document from every student. How amazing is that? So if I'm ready to assign this right now, I can just click this big blue button. It will go to my stream and it'll go out by email. But if I'm not ready, if I'm building this in advance maybe, I can click this down arrow. I can schedule it to go out later, and I don't have to do anything. Once I schedule it, if I am sure of the date and the time that I want it to go out, I can schedule it and it will go out by itself, or I can simply save it as a draft and I can work on it later. Or if I'm building all my assignments in advance, and then I deploy them when I'm ready. So what happens is your drafts, as a teacher, you'll notice your drafts live at the top of your stream. So any draft you've saved will be up here, and you can simply click on it if you want to work on it again. And you can then deploy it out from there. Important to know, though, that once you have saved an assignment as a draft, you cannot make a copy for each student after you've done that. What I'm saying is if you want to make a copy of a document for each student, you must do that as you are first building the assignment. So that's good to know because sometimes folks get confused by that. That's a little quirk that Google Classroom has. So I can simply X this out. It will still be there for me. That's your traditional type of assignment. But well, let me go back and let's deploy that out just to show you what that looks like. Okay, so when I'm ready to deploy it, let's click Assign again, and then you will notice that will come to the stream. It will also send a notification via email to the students. But what if I decide that I don't want that particular assignment to be at the top of the stream? You know by default that the most recent posts go to the top. As a teacher, let's say I wanted this assignment at the top. I can go to these three dots and I can move this one to the top. And watch what happens. It switches them. Okay, from these three dots, I can also edit this assignment, I can delete it, or I can copy a link to this assignment. So that's good to know. That's your traditional type of assignment, and that's how you build it. One other type I'd really like to show you is the create question. So if you go back down to your plus sign and you go up to where it says create question and just click on it. So this is where you can do some ongoing assessment. This is a way to sort of keep your students engaged, and it will let you know, do you need to reteach something, and that sort of thing. So you have two choices. You have short answer questions or multiple choice. So an example of a short answer question, let's say I'm teaching about the sky. So I might ask something like, why is the sky blue? And then I have a choice here. So I can put a due date on this if I want, or a topic, just like other assignments. And but here's the really good stuff. I can allow students to reply to each other or not. I can allow students to edit their answers or not. So this is one of the ways that I can build community by using reflective questions, and then students can respond to each other. And that's kind of a neat thing. The other thing I can do is set this up as a multiple choice question. And in that case, I might ask something that is more like a poll. Remember when we were first starting our course and I asked you a poll question regarding how much you use Google Classroom? And so I might in here type, please respond saying how much you use Google Classroom. And down here, I would give the options. I've never used Google Classroom, etc. So you get the idea. So the student would choose one. The key is that they can't see what other people say. So they put in their answer, and then you can give them permission to see the class summary. So if you click this, students can see class summary. They still can't see the summary until they put in their own answer. So in that way, they can't copy other people's answers or sort of go with the group. And so that's a good way to sort of gauge where your students are in their learnings. And that's one of my favorite parts. So before your brain gets totally overloaded, I'd like to show you one more thing. All right, so I'm stuck in a loop here. Okay, am I frozen? Okay, come on. Oh dear, this happens when, oh, there it is. Okay, so come down to the plus sign one more time. I just want to show you the reuse post feature because this is awesome. So let's say you had built all these great assignments last semester, and then you're now in the second semester and you'd really like to reuse some of those because you don't want to reinvent the wheel, and you had some pretty darn good assignments, right? So here's the neat thing you can do with Reuse Post. Click on it, and it's going to bring up every classroom that you have. And then you just pick one, and what you can do is it will then list all the assignments you've made in that classroom. Now, right now, I've only made this one assignment in this class, so I didn't really choose a good one. But if I wanted to, I could choose this assignment and then choose to reuse it. Watch what happens. So it brings that up in edit mode so that I can change it up. I can add things to it. And then I can do the same things I could do with other assignments. So I click the down arrow, save it as a draft, and I can work on it later. So it'll be up here in my drafts. This saves me time, and who couldn't use more of that as a teacher, right? That's the basics of building assignments in Google Classroom. And so now I send you off to practice that. I think you're going to really enjoy this.